Greetings. In this video I want to dig into doors and windows. So here is our Sears house that we began building. We could take a quick look at it in 3D, and it is ready for some doors and windows. So we will go back to the floor plan. This is where we will insert them, and we'll turn it to wireframe so that we could see through the building to where these windows are located. And in Canvas, here in Module 5, I uploaded residential window heights. And if we click on that, this is a little JPEG I found on Google. I just looked up like probably typical residential window heights, and it shows very nicely common window heights. Very importantly, it shows that from the interior and the exterior, we like all the head heights to be the same across the top, even with the door. So about 7 feet to the top of the window, that doesn't include the trim above it, is common. And then from the different rooms, we could see the common heights. So living rooms, dining rooms, family rooms have much taller windows. They're they don't, I guess, have the furniture requirements as we see here as bedrooms and studies, I guess. Bedrooms that needing to furnish dressers and whatnot underneath windows. So that's why we have these shorter windows there. And then we get into kitchens and bathrooms. We have sinks, and they have to get shorter yet. Okay, so this really explains very well the general window heights that you should be aiming for. And you'll have to do some math, and because in Revit they typically set the sill, so you might have to do some math to figure out and get the tops all to be the same. All right, so let's take that away. And so I'm going to start, well, let's take a look at the house first here. So these are all double hung windows, and these look like, I believe these are shades drawn behind it. So there's no line there. That would be my guess. These don't look typical. They all kind of vary, these intermittent lines. I think that's all behind the window. So I think this is what you call a 1/1. There are no panes or mullions within it. So it's basically a 1/1 window. To find these windows, we will go to, well, first we could see what's loaded actually into the project. So we'll just go to Window, Architecture Window, and we'll come here and we'll see that there are fixed windows. So these are ones that don't open. They don't have any mullions. So that's more of a commercial situation. You usually don't find fixed windows inside of a residence. Casement windows, these are common today, less common at the time our Sears homes were built. But again, you could give your Sears home a 21st century makeover. That's fine. Casement windows are nice. They open up, they swing to the side and open up, and they open up 100% so that the amount of window is turned into screen basically. So it's 100% in terms of letting air in, which is nice. Double hung windows open up 50%. You could only take the bottom sash and move it up, so you only get 50% of the window in airflow. So casement windows are nice. And then we have several different sizes. So we have our widths that range from 2 feet to 2'6", and then we have heights that range from 42 inches to 46 inches. So not too much range. We're not finding what we see here. No particularly tall windows, nor what did we have there? We had we had 3'6", 3.5 feet there. And these windows are coming in. Yeah, okay, so the smallest ones in the kitchen, they have those available, and then they don't have any of the tall ones. So they have the short kind of squat ones, and then some of the mid-sized ones. Okay, so, and then we would look and we would see here's our kitchen, and there's a kitchen window. So it's not shown as the short one that we were seeing in the JPEG, but that's okay. We could follow suit here, or if we get into the interior and put in counters, for instance, because they're not showing. I don't know if these houses actually included all the kitchen materials. You'd think they should, but for some reason they don't show a kitchen layout, so it might not have included it. I would expect kitchen cabinets here, so that window really would not suffice. So you have to kind of think about this and think it through and make your choices. Okay, so let's let's put a small window in there. So let's jump down to our 24 by 36 window, and now you see I have the no can do sign there. Click on wall to place window. So once I jump into the wall, there it is, and we can drop that right in there. So it's not wide enough, so let us go into edit type and let us duplicate it, and let's see if we can make this 30 inches wide. And if you don't duplicate it, you will change all the 24-inch wide windows to 30-inch windows, and that will be very misleading and confusing. And then we have our dimensions, and there's our 2 feet. So let's add 6 additional inches to that and say OK. And that is what we have coming. And it is a little bit wider, so let's just escape from there, select this window, delete window, and this is our new window, and that looks better already. And very importantly, here's the sill height. So I installed a window that is 30 inches tall, and it has a 3-foot sill height. So this is 2'6" plus 3. So now I have a head height of 5'6", 5.5 feet. Let's just jump back to here and see what this says. So this is again at 7 inches, 7 feet. So it is not tall enough. It's suspiciously a little on the shy side. Let's pick up our section, get it through that window. And yes, well, we do have a tall, typically, again, going back to here, so they're showing a 9-foot ceiling as well. So 8 foot is common in most houses, but we did indulge and put 9, and that's what they're showing here. So there's a generous amount of space above the window here. Typically, with our 8-foot, typical 8-foot floor to ceiling heights, the windows are a lot closer to the ceiling than appears here. So yeah, so let us just jump into our, let's see, modify, and we could just measure. So yeah, so we're coming in at 6'6". So if we wanted to get everybody aligned to 7'6", say, if that's going to be, or well, 7, let's go with 7 feet, the door height. So our sill would be brought up to 3'6". And now we have a nice and consistent 7-foot height for that window. So let's jump back into the plan. And let's do one up front near the door. And the door has a nice tall window next to it. These all kind of look the same to me. We could actually count the clapboard here. 1, 2, 3, 4 courses of clapboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one might be a little bit taller. Let's do one more. Architecture, window, and let's get their tallest window in there. So that is 46 inches tall. And I think I'd like it to be a little wider. 30 inches. Well, let's put it in and see how it looks. Okay, and then let's put a door in while we're at it before we check it out in 3D. So they have some of these nice, pretty old school doors. I don't know if we're going to find that exactly, but let's take a look. So here are doors. Single flush doors. So definitely flush doors are not old school. These have no, and they don't have any windows in them either. So these are kind of, I like them. They're kind of contemporary, but they're not what we see in traditional houses. So we're not provided with much in the way of doors here. So let us go to Insert, Load Family, Doors. And out here we know we have our storefront doors, double sliding doors, overhead garage doors, nothing we need. So let's see what we have in residential. And so we have exterior doors, interior doors, and garage doors. Double doors we're not looking for. Side lights, and we do have a nice, oh, so this is just the side light. That's not actually the door. That's the window that comes on it. So, okay, that's better. So we do have some panels with the arched top, square top, And that's it. So those are our two options. So not too many. Perhaps we could go online and find others, but this will suffice. Maybe I'll go with the arch top. So we'll say okay. It's coming in all these different sizes, 80 inches tall. And let's drop that in right here. Okay, so commercial doors, residential doors swing in, commercial doors swing out. So we have it swinging towards our staircase. That's not ideal. Swinging into the room is not ideal either. It's kind of a wash there. And this, so this window is showing a little bit taller, but let's see how it looks in 3D for us. Or in elevation. Yeah, it looks a little peculiar, I think, with the window taller. So this is coming in at 6'9". So yeah, let's drop the window. I'd say we should drop the window to 6'9". I think that would make more sense. So we have to do the math, 6'9", or we don't have to do the math. We could actually, if we wanted, we could just really bring this guy right over here and modify. I don't know why I'm not allowed to measure right here. Let's take a look at our south elevation. There we go. Now I can measure. And that looks like nearly 3 inches. And we have a sill height of 3 feet. So let's move that to 2'9". And better. Now we can just move him back. And let's just take a look at our first floor plan. And that looks good. I think it landed pretty well. And then at 3D. So that's the gist of it. Not too bad. Okay, and I just want to also talk about sheets at the same time. So I'm going to insert a sheet. So you should do, you could, on this project, we could do whatever sheet you prefer. We're not going to be printing them, so I'm going to stick with 11 by 17. If you want to do bigger sheets, you could. It's a little bit more, it takes a little more care to, you'll have fewer sheets, obviously, and it takes a little more care to lay them out nicely, but that could be nice. Well, all right, why don't I go with the, all right, I'll go with the, not that big of a sheet. I don't want that big. That's really, really big. I'll bump it up 11 by 17. Let's see what my options are. 17 by 22. Slightly bigger. Let's go with that. Just to change things up a little bit. 17 by 22. Okay, nice title block. I'm being a little facetious there. It's not so pretty. So now let us go to our first floor plan, and I have to show the second floor as well. And let's just drag that right on here and see what we get. Okay, so we got my whole thing. So let's activate that view. Select the JPEG. I think we could hide it before we unpin it. Select and hide in view element. Yes. Okay. So now we have this thing, our floor plan. Let's hide these guys as well. Hide in view, the whole category. And otherwise it looks okay. We'll have to tidy up those section marks, but let's go to 1/4 inch scale. Something a little bigger. Well, that's really big. Maybe let's see. 1/8 looked a little small. 1/4. So 3/16 is kind of a goofy scale. Not easy to do the math, but it looks good on this sheet at least, so we'll stick with that. Then we could deactivate the view. You know that we have to repair all of this. Okay, good. And then, so maybe I should have done an 11 by 17 sheet to make my point, because yeah, I will do one 11 by 17 as well, actually. My point being that if you pick a very large sheet, I can make my point with this sheet. If you pick a very large sheet, you have a lot more flexibility in scale, obviously. If you're doing 11 by 17, you have a smaller sheet, you need a smaller scale. But let's say if my goal is to align the elevation with this, which is really nice. So let us take our south-facing elevation, bring it onto the sheet, and now it is not at the correct scale either. So let's activate that view, bump this up to 3/16. Bring these guys in. Let's hide this guy. I just created that one so that I could look down on my roof. I didn't really care where I put it. Okay, let's bring him in. Okay, that looks pretty good. Tighten these up a little bit. Through the door is a good place. Through the window could be. This is actually, I think these read better. This section, looking to my right, we are not going to see the ridge of this roof. We're going to be on the downhill side of this. So I'm going to actually pick this up. Getting through a window is nice, makes the section a little more interesting. And then when we cut through this roof, we're cutting through right here, and we're going to see the ridge of that roof. So the section should display the height of the building. If we're on the downhill side, if there was something over here on the right-hand side of this gable, then it would make sense. Something particularly interesting, something that really needed to be described in a section, but that's not really the case with this house. Not a complicated building. So I would move the section to the uphill side of the roof. This again tells us how far into the section we're looking. So if we have an interior room, perhaps it extends through here. Let's extend that section all the way out so we can see the back side of this. Okay, so that looks good. So let us deactivate the view. And now getting back to my layout point. Let's just, whoops. Actually, I forget the procedure here. We have to move him first, then we have to select the box, and we have to bring this back. Okay. All right, that'll take some alignment later. Okay, so getting to my point. Let's just get these a little bit better. So these two section marks are the same, and we do know that we could turn on grids. So where is our grid? Guide grid under view, and there we go. So that could help with this alignment issue. So. And we do have some room to move these sections in. This one's going through a drawing. That doesn't look so good. So we don't want that. I'm going to move him out. There. So we got the left-hand side aligned right on that grid. And we have this guy in between these boxes, a little to the left of that line. So let's get this. Well, first we have to get the drawing aligned, really. So left-hand side for the left-hand wall. And that fell right into place, so that wall comes right down, aligns with there. That looks good. And then number 1 is to the left of this line, and number 2 looks a little too far. And that's not a little fussy. Better. And now that line is showing us that they align nicely. Okay. And can we easily get rid of this grid now? That is the question. I think we have to delete it. Yeah, and then we could, I think, just bring it back. So that looks good. So my big point was, depending on the size of the sheet and depending at the scale at which you want to show them, my goal was to get these two aligned, and it worked. This looks like the right size sheet and the right size scale. They are to the same scale and they are nicely aligned. If you have an 11 by 17 sheet, you're not going to have the opportunity to stack these. So I would encourage you to think about a bigger sheet and to do this, especially if we're going to show several views of the house. Then, going through numerous 11 by 17 sheets doesn't really help explain it. It's not as, the logic of the house is not as readily apparent. So it's nice to have sections and plans and everything aligned the way that I've done here. So again, back to my point, is what's the biggest scale that we could fit this on if it were an 11 by 17 or whatever size sheet it is. But then we also have to think, like in plan, this is the height of this plan is about the height of this elevation. If it was a single story house, then the house might only be this tall. And so you kind of have to look for the worst case scenario. You might be able to fit a plan at 3/16 on 11 by 17, but then if it's a tall house, you're not going to be able to fit that elevation at the same scale. So you have to, as I say, look for the worst case scenario. What's the tallest drawing that you're going to put on that sheet? Plans could be taller than elevations if it's a single story house. So this all needs to kind of be worked out. So let us activate that view, bring him in. So bring these in pretty snug. So they should be equal on all sides. And then we could deactivate the view. And that looks pretty good. And these typically off to the left, so they're avoiding all that annotation. So that is how I would do that. Okay, thank you.